Good morning everybody, thanks for joining me again. Well, you can see I'm at Berry Head again and I've come out to film the lighthouse before it stops flashing, and I'm trying to get a shot of the compass there with the light reflecting in it. Let's see how we get on. So this is the shot I'm looking at, trying to get the reflection of the light in this compass. Well, I took this photograph just over a year ago, so I thought I'd return to the same location and see whether my skills had improved and whether I could take a better photograph. So this was my first attempt. As you can see, I've been able to get a lot closer, and what I've done is I've focus stacked 3 images, focusing first on the foreground, then the midground, and then on the lighthouse in the background. And then this second image, all I've done is move the camera up slightly just to give a different perspective. And again, I've focus stacked 3 images, and I'll show you how I did that later on in the video. Now there's a bit more light. Unfortunately the lighthouse has stopped flashing, but I thought I'd show you this shot that I took and how I decided on the composition. So as you can see, you've got this ridge of rocks where the path runs by the lighthouse, and all I was doing is I decided on the lighthouse as the background and then looking for something to lead your eye into it. And you can see if you get down lower, these rocks make a nice leading line towards the lighthouse, and you can also, if you get low enough, you can exclude the path, so you just get the rocks, the grass leading right up to the light. And then what I did was I focus stacked it, so I focused on this rock in the foreground here first, and then I focused on that grassy mound in the middle, and then of course I focused on the lighthouse. So I took 3 shots, all about 5-second exposures, because it was dark at the time. And yeah, I'll show you that now. I was really pleased with this image. I think this is the favourite one of mine from the day. The sky is slightly moody, and I think that leading line of the rocks works quite well. That's quite a balanced photograph. Well, it's quite windy up here, so not sure if you can hear me. It is really quite a dull day now. So I have tried a shot here. You can see obviously the lovely coastline, but also, just as I said before about the lighthouse, I've chosen the main subject, the background, and then it's about trying to find something of interest to lead your eye into it. And you can see these rocks on the ground here. Got a couple of fingers of rock pointing towards me, leading me up into the distance, so that's what I'm attempting. And again, focus stacking it, so I'm focusing on these rocks in the foreground first, then the edge of the cliff here, and then obviously the background. Let's see how that turns out. Well, I did make a slight mistake with this photograph. The tripodal camera moved slightly between the foreground and midground shots because of the wind, but when I went to edit the images and focus stack them, you can see a blurred line between those 2 frames. Never mind, still not a bad shot. So I'm going to try and show you how I've focus stacked these images. First of all, I'm going to open my Capture One photo editing software. Obviously you might use something different, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to find the three images. This is the second photograph I showed you. And as you can see, I'm just going to choose all three of the shots and export them to a folder where I can pick them up in the software I'm going to use to focus stack them. Takes a little while, but as you can see, off they go. Now I use a piece of software called GIMP to do focus stacking and blend different exposures together. So I open that software first, and then I go to the folder where I've saved the images. By the way, these are all JPEGs at this moment. What I'm going to do is highlight the three images and then drag and drop them into this area in the top left of the software. And it goes through a small conversion program for each image as it loads them into the software. Now, as you can see at the top left, there's the three images. I'm just going to look at all three of them. The first one, you can see the foreground is sharp focus, and the one on the right, you can see the background's in sharp focus. So I want the image with the foreground in sharp focus as the bottom layer. So I'm just going to click on that and then rename it as foreground. Then to put the other layers on top, you click on the layer you want, drag it onto the bottom layer, drag it onto the screen, let it go, and as you can see, it's got a dropped buffer, it calls it, but it's dropping the photo on top of the other one. And I'm just going to rename that as midground. And then finally, I'll pick up the last image again, drag it on top of the bottom one, and then drag it onto the screen, and it drops it on the right hand side there. I'm just going to rename that as background. So these are called layers basically. Now you can see there's a little eye symbol just to the left of the file, and as you unclick them, you reveal the layer below or hide the layer that you're clicking on. So you can see with all the layers, that top one, the bottom's out of focus. So I'm going to add a layer mask to remove that part of the photograph from that image and reveal the one below. I'm just choosing a brush and then the style of the brush, and then what I'm going to do is just maybe adjust the size of the brush, which you can do on the left hand side where it says size. Just dragging left to right will do that, and then I'm going to brush away or add a mask to this layer to reveal the layer below. Now bearing in mind this is the background image and it's revealing the midground image below it, so although this will be a better focus, it won't be as sharp as the foreground. So I'm going up the image about as far as I think I focused on the midground, which is about there, and you can see it already looks better. So when I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do is merge that top image with the one below by right clicking on the top image, clicking on merge down, and that combines the two. Now you've just got one image on top of the other. So again, I'm going to right click and add a layer mask to that top image to reveal the more in focus foreground. So I right click, add layer mask, and it's white full opacity. Click on add, and you can see it's added that white mask to it. I've still got the brush tool, so I'm just going to brush away the immediate foreground, and although the corner's still a bit blurred, as you see me go over the text, especially the east and south, it becomes more in focus. And I'm going to stop about there and not go over the middle ground. So when I'm happy with it, what I'm going to do is merge these two layers together by right clicking and saying flatten image, and that creates one image. And then you're good to export it. Again, file, export, give it a name and choose a file where you want to save it. Just click on export. Gives you a choice over the quality. It's reduced it to 90%. I'm going to put it back up to 100 again because I want to take it back into the editing software. And that's it. I'm going to go back to the editing software and make a few last tweaks. So finally, I'm going to try with the long lens on now and see if I can get any shots of the birds and see if there's any dolphins or porpoises around. It's quite a dull day, so I don't know, we'll see. Still nice to be out though, and that'll give me something to do on a Sunday afternoon, editing all these shots. Well, it was still too dark to get any decent photographs of the birds using a fast shutter speed, but I was able to get this photograph of the porpoise as he disappeared under the water as usual, with a shutter speed of about 1/500th of a second. Well, I think I'm going to call it a morning. As you can see, I've come behind the lighthouse and I've just been sheltering from the rain, so it doesn't look like I'm going to get any sunlight. I was hoping this morning, as well as getting the shot of the light in the compass, that there might be a glimmer of sunlight first thing this morning that would have lit up this cloud, but didn't happen. So looks like it's going to be a dull day for a while. So thanks for joining me again. If you like the video, then give me a like and hit that subscribe button. But I'll see you all again next Sunday. For now, cheerio. one downside about filming these things is, or maybe an upside, is you actually walk twice as far as it appears in the film. So my 35-40 minute walk to Berry Head turns into a couple of hours. More behind the scenes stuff maybe next week. Well, I'm walking past the pool again on the way home, but I'm sure you've seen enough shots of the pool over the last couple of weeks. As you can see, the tide's out, and Roger the railing on the corner there has disappeared. As my friend Tim Clyburn says, he's gone to Davy Jones. Still a nice shot to have, but let's go home and have breakfast.